Kia ora, I'm David Chaston with 98.9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock, with news central banks in both China and the EU have been active overnight, both dovishly. But first up, initial American jobless claims came in last week, little changed at 220,000, so there are now 1.69 million people on these benefits, also very little changed. Their long-awaited labour market stress still hasn't arrived. American retail sales, however, rose 0.6% in August from July and easily beating a forecast of a 0.2% rise. Year on year, these sales are up only 2.9%, however, which is far less than inflation. On the factory floor, producer prices rose 0.7% in August from July, the highest level since June 2022, and higher than what analysts expected of a 0.4% rise. On an annual basis, however, producer price inflation reached a 4-month high of only 1.6%. Meanwhile, neither wholesale nor retail inventories are rising, so there's no inventory stress building in this economy. In Japan, they recorded a drop in new machinery orders in July, but that included a startling 57% drop in new orders for petroleum and coal product machinery. Overnight, the People's Bank of China announced a 25 basis point cut in their reserve requirement ratio for all banks, taking it to a weighted average deposit reserve ratio of only 7.4%. At the same time, they doubled down on defending the yuan and the managed rate they want to see. The ECB hiked its policy interest rates for the 10th consecutive time overnight, but it also signalled that it is likely done with its tightening policy as inflation has started to decline. In Australia, there was a bigger than expected surge in employment in August, but most of that was for part-time jobs. Full-time jobs grew only a tiny 2,800, while part-time jobs grew by 62,100. Their jobless rate stayed at 3.7% in August. For comparison, Australia has 69.5% of their workforce employed in full-time jobs, its lowest level in 10 months. New Zealand has 80%, at a level that we've been at for 5 years and the best since the 1990s. Internationally, last week there was a sharp drop of more than 7% in global container freight rates. It was particularly noticeable in outbound rates from China to the EU. Meanwhile, bulk cargo freight rates are on the move up. The US Treasury 10-year yield starts today up 5 basis points at 4.29%, but the price of gold will start today just on $1,909 an ounce and down $1 from yesterday. But oil prices are up $1.50 at just on $89.50 a barrel in the US and back to a 10-month high. And the international Brent price is now at $93 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar starts today little change from this time yesterday at 59.1 US cents, still settled in a tight range. Against the Aussie was softer at 91.9 Australian cents, but against the euro we're 0.5% higher at 55.6 euro cents. But that all means our trade weight index is actually little changed at 68.7. Got more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again on Monday.